Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. My name is Wayne Supernova. In the last episode, we finished the cross-examination of Patricia and Rolly Beat. We learned that in the time that Patricia ran to get the other officer to the crime scene, Rolly actually moved the crime scene across the street out of his jurisdiction so that he could, have the rest of the night with his wife on their first wedding anniversary. A noble deed, but also illegal, so it's unfortunate that he will probably be legally punished for it. Go to jail, something of the sort. But that still raises the question, how was the victim stabbed? And, well, I think it connects back to the Garadebs, and I think it potentially could have been Mr. Garadeb going outside to try and grab his favorite book. But that was my first thought process, but once I thought through it, it doesn't make much sense, to be quite honest, because Mr. Garadeb, if he stabbed someone with the knife, if he stabbed them with the knife because they were picking up his favorite book, why would he not just take the book back after that? Is it because her fingerprints would be on it or something? I mean, we haven't heard of fingerprints being used so far in this game, but yeah, not sure what the hell's going on here quite yet. I don't know if we'll even figure out the truth, but let's just dive right in. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of the crime like that? Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could have possibly committed this crime. No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already. Lord Van Zinks, is this true? If they're saying that Miss Olive Green, I think that the possibility they're thinking of is the second idea that I had, and this would suck if it's the case, but she was throwing things at her husband. He opened the window, of course. I don't think he left the house at all that day, neither did she. That being said, if she threw the book out first, right? It goes out the window. Miss Olive Green bends over to pick it up because she's like, oh, a book came flying out of the window. That's weird. She bends over to pick it up. Next thing that comes flying out of the window is a knife, and it stabs her right in the back. That would suck. It'd be accidental, too. So yeah. Very well. Name the person, if you will, and if further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. She fucking pulled off like a throwing knife bank shot from Call of Duty. I hate to do this, but
take that!
It's gotta be her. The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again? My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case, it's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garadeb. Me? Oh, dearie me.
Objection!
That request has already been denied.
Objection!
But the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garadeb, answer me this. What do you want now, you little toad? At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garadeb. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited, and to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar River. Well, what of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open top-hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, and as I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garadeb. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before? Ah! Don't pass out again, you bitch. I don't recall it. Seriously? Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? And anyway, the man over there in all that regalia said the members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he? Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all, juror number 4. Oh! Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a common or garden knife. It couldn't have come from it. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know? What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying, please, Mrs. Garadeb? No, you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it. Oh, the poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife if that's what you think. Come along now. Chop chop. Do your worst. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, if I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Then take the stand, juror. Oh! The prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks. I'm going to have to testify? Juror number 4. As I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today, witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even realize. Oh my god. The witnesses themselves may not even have been aware. Oh, dearie me. So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garadeb. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. Nice music. Got that umbrella logo behind him. I just noticed that. It's like an umbrella logo on the stained glass behind the judge there. This is a new camera angle. This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here, in the Old Bailey. I'm a lawyer. Nice use of camera angles. Witness, state your name and occupation. Oh, yes, my name is Joan Garadeb, and I'm, well, I'm a juror, and such like. So you're unemployed. Sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh dearie me. That's what I call jiggle physics. Oh, is this her husband? I don't even remember what his voice was. Chin up, Joni. Nothing to worry about now. Oh, I didn't know you were here, John. Wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? Rather, I think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone. Oh, John. I presume you are Mr. John Garrett? Yes, sir. Former second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Seen my fair share of action and now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Well, yes. Quite. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once. One final witness testimony. The Battle of Garradab. I like that. It's a good name. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out, though, and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I'd notice if 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. If that bally thing on in the victim's back was really one of ours, you'd have a job proving it, I think. It sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Well, I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have already testified. This may be a dead end. And Zeeks may well be right. Well, whatever the chances. Yawn. Oops. Not enough breathing. I need to work on my breathing while I'm reading these lines. We only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, I'm afraid so. Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check that knife and see if there's any evidence on it that really points to the Garradabs. Let me check this knife, because I know you can examine it. I don't know, man. It's hard to see anything that's wrong with this. I don't know. I don't see much of anything on it. So yeah, we'll start by pressing things. The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe. Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Garradab. A rather passionate note, in fact. But Mrs. Garrideb found the note, discovering her husband's little secret, and she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too. What a sordid state of affairs. Hell on earth. I say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's common decency not to drag it all up. And besides, half of it was wide of the mark anyway. A likely story. These waters run very deep. And what transpired next after these multiple blows to the face? Hold it! And the fire also spread to some items of furniture, didn't it? The bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine, really. Just so happens there was some bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed that about to put it out. A most precarious situation you put yourself in. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street where the water main isn't connected yet. Have to draw water from a public water pump during the day if you need any, you see. The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Although that little mustached Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe. The defendant, Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off. Have you actually seen the state of the man? Yeah, he's kind of fucking crazily disheveled, and he's got way too many goddamn books in his room. I believe he uses all of his income to buy books. Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Hold it! Even though the room was on fire? As far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That is most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo. How did she know I was thinking that? So, please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day? In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge, a napkin. Excuse me! Do you have something to add, sir? Mr. Garrideb. Don't you... sorry, I beg your pardon. That's kind of fucked. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker I seem to recall. Ouch. The woman's aim is uncanny. She landed a direct hit with every belly. Ah! She poured it in his pipe. Good grief, woman, we're not at home now. This is a court of law. Oh, dearie me. I'm so sorry, dear. What's she even doing with a teapot in here? Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously. Well, take a look at this, then. How do you suppose that happened, Your pipe, sir. I had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. I see, your pipe was broken. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. You are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear? I wonder what we should make of this account. I think it could be important. The defense believes Mr. Garrideb's remarks just now to be of great significance. Objection! This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes, as well as hearts, may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed. Common sense, one might say. Might one?
In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir?
Huh? Well, I don't see why not. Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. Very well, the court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. Alright.
I hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down.
Oh no, it's fine. Thanks to Susato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully. Let's see. What do we got here? In this pipe. Ooh, it's also cracked right here. There's a small nick out of the bowl here. Look, it appears to have been made relatively recently.
And see how there are little scrapes and dents all over it? It's clearly a well-loved pipe.
Yes, you're right. Seems to me recently that being well-loved goes hand in hand with getting some battle scars. This particular nick is catching my eye, though, because it's clearly new. Ooh. Oh, really? Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there.
Yes, I saw it. Something's stuck in there, I think.
Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this?
It's a tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade or something.
The tip of a blade? Surely it couldn't be. Interesting, interesting. Is this really... Oh, it is missing a tip.
Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo, just at the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing.
Wait, part of it's missing? I could be wrong, but I've just got a feeling. Do you remember this?
Ah, that's the tiny fragment of metal that we found inside Mr. Garredeb's pipe.
Yes, and just maybe.
Oh my, it's a perfect fit.
So somehow, I just knew it. Interesting. So now that we've done that... Well, thank you for that. Rebuttal, Mr. Garredeb. Now, if we could return to the crux of the matter, what can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? Well, fortunately for you, I can prove it was yours.
Objection!
Oh, it's not that? Oh, come on. It even says on the thing that it was found in Mr. Garredeb's pipe bowl. That sucks. There's clearly something odd about that last statement made by the witness. There is clearly something odd here indeed. Your behavior, counsel. Oh, please, don't mind me. That would be significantly easier if you would lower your hand. I won't lower my hand until I prove my client's innocence, as long as it's quite quick. Alright. Oops. I did not mean to press A there. That's the extent of their testimony, is it?
What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, I think we've heard all this before, to be honest. Can't say I'm particularly confident we'll be able to prove anything new from this testimony.
But in this cross-examination, it's absolutely essential that we establish how this knife came to be at the scene of the incident.
Yes, I know.
I'm sure both of them must be feeling very worried. Worried that it was in fact a knife belonging to one of them that caused the victim's injury.
If we could find even a tiny shred of evidence to support that theory, it would clinch this trial for us. It would explain everything.
Yes, it would.
So for Soseki-san's sake, we must. We must find that last crucial piece of evidence. So we're going to the last... Oops. God damn. I did it again. I always end up doing this. I press A too many times. because I'm trying to mash through the testimony. Is it this one?
Objection!
Okay, it's that one. We gotcha. We gotcha. Mr. Garrideb, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a bally thing. You can't? Used to call me Dead-Eye Dead back in the regiment, of course, but that was some time ago now. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh, he does. Dearie me, it's rather wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word. You must D very dizzy. That was a bad joke. That's the first bad joke I've heard from this game so far. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garrideb's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how it got there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? I am. What? When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. You appear to be rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well, then. Present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case?
Take that!
This one! This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. A common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection!
No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garrideb's pipe. Good grief, Lord Van Zeeks? I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh! Gracious! Gumdrops! Order! Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. A miracle? So Van Zeeks has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garrideb's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. Had the sting in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did. Yes. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Oh, dearie me. During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Garrideb flung this knife at her husband. However, if the knife missed Mr. Garrideb, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off, of course. Good lord! Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garredeb's pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1! And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. Ah! In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Garredeb's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below. Oh gosh, oh dear, oh no!
Objection!
With your nice little wine, please don't abuse the gallery members again, good sir. A full-bodied theory, I'll give you that. A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry? But after all, it is just a theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because you see, it's spoilt by an insurmountable inconsistency. An insurmountable... What? What, Van Ziet? Explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with the knife implanted in the middle of her back. Yes, in her... Ah! That's right, you silly little man! Now, Joan, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife that struck her had fallen from above, there's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back. Unless she bent over for some reason. That's the only way it could have struck her from above. Or, possibly, I don't know why, but someone... a third party that we don't know about was behind them, picked up the knife, and stabbed her in the back to frame the Japanese guy for some reason. Order, order! Quite right, you see. That's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head. Well,
He's lost for words, look. I knew it. I never liked his theory in the first place.
I don't know what really did happen.
It would appear the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder.
If a theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. Not exactly. We were so close. I could see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now the way has been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency.
Or in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency and the theory will stand.
Miss Susato.
You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all, and your mind went blank. But if the path you were on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there.
It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test. Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way that it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying? Counsel? There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency, that can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness! Utter madness. Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. And we will lay that truth bare in the next episode. I know, I suck. We're gonna stretch this one out. And finish the case off with, of course, all the epilogue to the case in the next episode, and maybe start the next case, the final case of the first Great Ace Attorney game. It's been quite a wild ride so far, but yeah, we are close to the end of this one. So thank you guys very much for watching. Subscribe if you wish to continue tuning in for more Great Ace Attorney, and shortly in the future, Eastward. And I will see you guys next time.